her eyes wide like someone who had seen a masquerade at noon. She ran into the compound and screamed, but all that came out was air, dry and silent like harmattan wind. Okore rushed out, confused. What's wrong? Talk to me. But her lips only moved like a fish thrown out of water. Long ago, in the green and quiet village of Umuokwe, where the cock crowed with pride and children ran barefoot on red sand, lived a woman named Nwanneka. Her name meant my siblings are supreme, but her tongue had no siblings. It ruled her life. Nwanneka was not just a woman. She was the town's voice, the bearer of every tale, true or false. Her mouth was sweeter than honey and sharper than a new razor blade. People called her Ezeoku, the queen of talk. Some feared her, others followed her like flies chasing palm wine. Nwanneka was a fine woman. Her skin glowed like roasted granite, and her eyes sparkled like the river under moonlight. Her laughter could wake a sleeping goat, and her stories could make a crying baby forget hunger. But there was one thing everyone feared about her. She talked too much. From the moment she wakes up, her mouth began to work. If a lizard fell from a tree, she had something to say. If a man sneezed in his sleep, she would announce it at the market square. People said if silence was gold, Nwanneka had no treasure. If Nwanneka hears it, they said, the trees and stone will hear it too. No secret was safe. If you whisper near her, the whole village would be whispering about it by sunset. Her husband, Okore, a quiet palm wine tapper, often warned her, Nwanneka, my wife, he would say as he cleaned his cutlass. A woman's beauty lies in her silence. One day, your tongue will bring you sorrow. But Nwanneka would laugh and wave her hand. Okore, my husband, how can a river stop flowing? If I don't talk, the air will stop moving. He would sigh and return to his palm wine drums. Nwanneka was not a bad woman. She gave food to beggars, shared pepper with her neighbors, and danced at every naming ceremony. But she carried people's secrets like baskets full of holes, licking one drop at a time, until the whole village knew. She once told how Mazi Ikena's wife wore charms on her waist to keep him faithful. She revealed that Auntie Oloma's last child did not belong to her husband, but to the young hunter from Umele. Even the chief priest dreams, a spiritual message for the elders, somehow found its way into Nwanneka's mouth and ended in the ears of children playing by the streams. People began to avoid her. Even the village madman, Oriako, said, this woman's mouth is louder than my madness. But Nwanneka did not care. She loved the attention. She loved being the one who knew everything before everyone else. One market day, the sun was gentle, and the air smelled of fried akara and fresh fish. Women wore wrappers tied high above their waists, and traders called out with sweet voices. Nwanneka was there, of course, telling Mama Chika how the chief's daughter had run away with a strange man from the city. She climbed the Okada and disappeared like smoke. Her mother is still looking for her under the bed. Nwanneka laughed, clapping her hands. People around laughed too, though some looked down in shame. Just then, Chief's wife, who she didn't notice was listening the whole time, appeared in her front, and they fought mercilessly. Everything changed on the day of Ndi Igwe festival, a time when the village wore its best smile and danced at the gods. Nwanneka, as usual, was in the market, moving from stall to stall, tongue dripping with gist. She stopped at Mama Ifunanya's stall, who was selling palm oil and dry fish. "My sister," Nwanneka greeted. "Ah, your face is shining like goat head stew." Mama Ifunanya laughed. "Nwanneka, leave me oo." But Nwanneka leaned in and dropped her poison. "I didn't want to say anything oo," she said in a whisper loud enough for two nearby ears. "But your husband Ifeanyi has been visiting Nkechi's hut every evening. I saw him with my own eyes. You know Nkechi, the one whose waist walks before her legs." Mama Ifunanya froze. "What?" Nwanneka continued. "I only said it because I care. I don't want you to be another woman whose husband is being fed charm porridge behind her back." That night, the quietness in Ifunanya's compound broke into thunder, screaming, accusations. Plates flew. In the heat of the argument, Ifeanyi left the house in anger, got himself drunk, and eventually fell into a deep, shallow-looking pit covered with palm leaves in his compound. It happened in the middle of the night, while most people were asleep. With no one aware, he eventually drowned and died. His death shook the village, with most people accusing Ifunanya of killing her husband. 3 days later, the truth spilled out. Ifeanyi had been secretly planning a surprise birthday cheer with the village carpenter, who lived behind Nkechi's hut. Mama Ifunanya was broken, humiliated. Her once peaceful home was in ruins. Now a widow, she had lost her loving husband to the cold hands of death because of Nwanneka's gossip. She pinched herself in regret, blaming herself for her husband's death. That evening, in tears, she took her late husband's offer and walked barefoot to Nwanneka's house, stood at the gate with red eyes, lifted her hands to the sky, and cursed. "You who talk like you created the world, may your mouth dry like spilled palm wine. May your words turn against you like a snake in a basket, until you taste the pain you have cursed. May the gods shut your lips forever." Then she left. Nwanneka, aware of what she had done, avoided her. She saw her through her window while she cursed. Thunder rolled. A strange wind blew across the sky. Nwanneka felt a shiver crawl up her spine. That evening, she opened her mouth to greet Okorie. Nothing came out, not even a whisper. When Nwanneka opened her mouth that night to speak to her husband, not even a fly stirred. No sound, no whisper, no laugh, no word. She clenched her throat, her eyes wide like someone who had seen a masquerade at noon. She ran into the compound and screamed, but all that came out was air, dry and silent like harmattan wind. Okorie rushed out, confused. "What's wrong? Talk to me." But her lips only moved like a fish thrown out of water. By morning, the whole village heard it. Nwanneka has lost her voice. The same mouth that once danced all over Umuokwe was now locked like a grave. But that was only the beginning. That week, strange things began to happen. Whenever Nwanneka tried to write something down, the letter would rearrange into insults and curses. She would write "Okorie, bring water," and it would become "Okorie, you are useless," in her own handwriting. The villagers mocked her. Maybe her mouth went on strike, they laughed. She became a walking disgrace. Traders refused to sell to her. No one trusted her anymore. The woman who once carried every rumor now carries shame like a baby on her neck. Her business died. But the worst came one evening during a naming ceremony. The crowd was dancing, and someone begged Nwanneka to drum. She was good at it. She nodded. excited, finally feeling useful. But as soon as she struck the drum, it screamed out a voice, her voice, repeating all the gossip she has ever said. Nkechi is sleeping with the blacksmith. Ego is hiding a pregnancy. Mama Ijeoma's husband is a thief. The entire village froze. Children screamed. Women covered their faces. Men stared. People began to run. The drum was still beating on its own, vomiting her secret aloud. Someone shouted, "She's cursed. She's possessed." And from that day, every sound around Nwanneka started echoing back to her own words. The cry of a baby, the bark of a dog, even the clapping of thunder, all became her own gossip, thrown back at her like stone. At night, she heard voices whispering in her heart, "Your tongue is a sword, Nwanneka, and now it is cutting only you." She could not sleep. She could not walk. She could not speak. And when her only daughter fell sick one night and she couldn't call for help, the child died in her arms, silent like her. That was the night Nwanneka finally collapsed in her compound, crying with her eyes, since her tongue had been chained. Okore buried their child with trembling hands. When the last spade of sand hit the grave, he whispered, "I warned you, Nwanneka, but now even silence is too loud for you." Her punishment grew heavier. The gossip she once used to destroy others became a curse that followed her like a shadow. People avoided her. Markets banned her. Women crossed the street whenever they saw her. And every time a lie she once told resurfaced, she would feel a sharp pain in her chest, like a needle stitching her heart with thorns. She became thin. Her beauty faded. Her eyes sank like old water pots. One morning, during a village gathering, the Onowu said, "There are people who don't carry spear, but their tongues are more deadly than war." And the whole village slowly turned to look at her. Days turned to weeks. Weeks crawled into months. Nwanneka no longer wore her beautiful wrapper. She no longer painted her eyes or smiled at passerby. She walked with her head bowed like a calabash left out in the sun. Her feet, once proud in shiny sandals, now touched the earth like someone searching for forgiveness with every step. But the most painful part was this: she still had her own voice, even in silence. Birds would chirp in the trees, and she hears Ego stole her husband's money. The wind would blow, and it would hiss, "Mama Ifunanya is barren. Her husband is planning to marry another." Words she had said thoughtlessly were now haunting her like ghosts. She couldn't take it anymore. One morning, she dragged herself to Mama Ifunanya's compound. Her feet were weak, her eyes swollen, her wrapper hung loosely, and her mouth was trembling though no sound came out. Mama Ifunanya stood at the doorway, her arms folded. Her face was cold. Nwanneka knelt and bowed her head at the ground. She brought out a bowl of white chalk and bitter kola, a sign of peace. Tears rolled down her face. She opened her mouth to speak, but her voice refused. So she placed the bitter kola in front of Ifunanya, and with shaky fingers, she wrote just one line in the sand: "Forgive me." Mama Ifunanya's eyes filled with tears. She was a good woman, a mother. She had suffered because of Nwanneka, yes, but she could see now that this woman kneeling before her had been broken beyond repair. She picked up the chalk and drew a circle around Nwanneka. "As your mouth once moved in cycle, spinning lies like thread, I draw this cycle now to end the cycle. I forgive you. May the heavens have mercy too." Suddenly, a wind swept through the compound. The trees bowed. A pot cracked somewhere, and for the first time in months, Nwanneka's lip opened. A sound came out, faint, hoarse, but it was a word. "Thank you." She fell into Mama Nwanneka's arms and wept like a newborn. Even though her voice returned, it was never the same again. It became slow, thoughtful and gentle. People still looked at her with fear, but now it was mixed with pity and respect. She started speaking to women at women's meeting, not with gossip, but with wisdom. She would say, not every eye must see, not every ear must hear, not every mouth must speak. Words are like fire, useful but dangerous. Speak only what can heal. Moral of this story: words are not wind, they are seeds. Some grow into flowers, others grow into fire. Be slow to speak, be quick to listen, and always ask yourself before you talk: will this heal or will this harm? Even the tongue has a grave. Don't let yours dig one.